You don't have to. You see how I find things out, like how to check, okay, how do I do this? Because it's not everything you have solution for. Do you get? It's not everything that you have solution for. But the good thing is that you have the internet. So you can try and use the internet to search for solutions yourself. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start from scratch. Any issue we have, and we want to lock 30 minutes quickly and then introduce JavaScript. Let's see what we can do. Anywhere we can, we'll be able to stop. I think we'll be able to cover a lot in 30 minutes. We'll do quite a lot of things. So this is the Instagram login page. We're about to design our own login page. This is your assignment that you sent to me, and I'm going to use 2 here. So we're all used to what we have here. Want to replicate when we have a column here and a column here in a row, and we're going to have something like this. So notice as we increase it, notice that the column, the size of this did not increase. That's something that we need to watch out for. So I want to introduce something that we've not introduced before, but let's go ahead and start working on it before I introduce anything, so that you see the reason why we are using whatever we are using. Let's start now. So let's go to the code, and I'm going to adjust this so that we can be seeing something small. At least by now we've memorized what the Instagram page looks like. So if we are going way off, we will know. So let's start with our coding. We're starting with container, and that will kind of put in a container, and then we are doing I know this will not solve our problem. The row and column will not solve our problem, but I just want to put it there. I don't want to start going ahead with the solution without showing you the issue with row and column. So the first one talks about the slider. I'll call this slider area, while this other one is our login area. So immediately you refresh that, you get these 2 sections here, row. That's fine. So the next thing we want to do is to put a space in the, you can see there's a space here, and there's something that will help us with that under this row, and that's margin top. We can do 4. So it creates that space up there. The next thing I want us to do is we can start bringing in the form, that card. We all know card. We make this a card, and we'll bring this one in. Let's go ahead and bring in a card. So in this part, I say there should be a card here. And I still say login area. So we have our card sitting down there. So this is where, let me show you what the issue is, so you understand. We will now change this method, but let me show you the issue where it is. We don't need to finish it before we show the issue. The next thing I want to do is I want to bring this image in, this background. I want to bring it into the slider area to give us a context of what's going on. Let me go ahead and build 1 or 2 things here. Let me say, let me build the logo region. Logo is going to sit down there, and underneath the logo I can say I want to build up my form area. That's everything. Form will sit down there, and I can do our input. I can do this, so it gives us something like this. I just want to put something down. Okay, we've not start styling, nothing special, but you've noticed that I'll start introducing classes that are strange, that I've not styled. I introduce logo, I introduce form area, yes, so that by the time I start styling it, you will see how it goes. I'm going to introduce another class now, and that will be our slider area. So I'm going to introduce it here. I'm going to call this slider area. Okay, and I'm just going to say slider area here. So I want to start adding classes. Maybe before I add classes, let me show you something that one of the issue we have. One of the issue we have is when you make it wider, Do you notice what happened to the login and then the slider area? They are far apart. So this is an issue from the beginning. So row and column would not work for us. Row and column will not work for us. We need something fixed that will just stay. So let me show you what Instagram page looks like. So if you try and do that, notice that it's consistent across board until it becomes this. This one is another thing we're going to do. So we'll focus on this and this. Notice it's always in the middle. So we need to look for a solution on Bootstrap website. How we can use that. So let me search online quickly and do Bootstrap. So this is you doing this yourself without me, for example, because you have the internet with you. So Bootstrap, let me say center div, because I want my div to be centered, all these items to be centered. So this is the first result I got, flex, and then I go through it and I see something like this. Notice this one. This is where I want you to focus on. Notice these 3 items. So what that means is, assuming it's two items, what that means is the first item can be the search area, or rather the what's it called now, the slider area. The second part can be the login area, meaning at any point in time when you stretch it, it will always be fixed. And what is required for that is just by doing this: deflex, justify content center, and you are done. So any content you put in between this, it will be placed in the center. So let's try and work it out. So let's go to the code and see what we can do. Now, instead of, you're not maintaining row again, mind you're not doing row and column again, you just want to use flex, and everything that it sees inside the flex is going to do what? Center it. So let's do this and remove this one. I'm even going to remove this and just call it what it is here, which is slider area. And I'm going to, I can do the same thing here and call this one card. And call this card. So I have card, which I'm going to change. Card is for styling. So I'm going to call this login area. And then call this one slider area. So by I'm joining them together card. You could create this one outside and put the card inside, any one you want to do. But all I know is that my card width is going to be fixed whatever I do. So let's go and see what we have in the results. So if we check our results, you have something that looks like this. Notice what happened to the card area is fixed. Don't worry about the reason why this is like this. Look at it, is because there's no, we can always put padding to separate it. So what I'm trying to show you is that at point when you stretch it, it will always be in the middle. Everything is only going to be in the middle. So let's continue our styling to start making it, fancy. Okay, let's bring in the image here. Let's bring in this image. So this image, let's look for where it is. I will just go here and trace it. I will trace it. This is the image here. You can see the image on your screen. I'm going to copy it. It's open here. I'm copying the URL. That will form our background. That will form our background of whatever will be here, slider area. That's our background. So quickly, let's go to the code and put that in as the background area. Notice that we've already created a class, so we can go ahead and start styling that class. So we have our style here, and we do slider area. Okay, and I do background image URL. Inside the URL, we'll point to that. Okay. So we start adding properties that we need, like the fact that it shouldn't repeat, no repeat, and also background size. Let's say I'm just bringing something now. Let's say 200 px. We'll change it as we see the results. Let's now add the height. The height, I will show you why the height is very important. So the height is important because you know that this thing is a div, in this element is a div, and then you need to stretch it so that the content will show by default. So you can see what happens when we increase the height. So this is 500. The reason why this image is not stretching up to the height is because we've not specified the size is limited to 200. That's why it's limited like this. Another thing we need to do, we can also specify the width. I will just do, yeah, we can specify the width. So the width is, we're just picking number at random. You can correct them as you see fit. So you can see that this width is too much. So, well, let's just do 400. And then the size obviously is too small. So let's change the size to 400 and see our results. So it's looking like what we have here. So it's taking shape. Let's continue. And I'll just stay on this so that we can quickly, we have like 10 minutes more. Let's move on. Okay, I have that. Let's do 550 as the height. So the width, the size, let's do 450. You can see that as I adjusted the width, you need to adjust the width of the entire div, that's the div element, because this is the image size. So the image size now is more than the width element of the element. That's why it's looking like that. So it's either you increase this or you reduce what you have. Okay, you can see that the height now is also is too small, so you have to be increasing until you have a perfect settings that you want. I'll just do 420 and then we'll move on. Okay, let's go ahead. I will remove the text that we used to denote what is happening there, since we already have our image. So here, let's start putting things in order. I think we should reduce this a little bit. Okay, so let's start putting things in order. Let's work on the logo quickly. So the logo here, let's see what the logo is here. The logo is an image. Let's pick the logo. So this is the logo here, and it's kind of strange. This logo is the type that require you to, if you want to work with dark theme, that's why they have like 3 logos there, but you don't need to worry, we'll just pick the first logo. Those other things are for something different. We'll just pick the first logo, which is black. So let's go and implement the logo. The same method, the same way we introduce the background, that's the same way we're going to implement the logo. We already have a logo class. Logo is going to sit down there. You can delete what is inside and start styling the logo. So I'll just say logo area or just logo, any which one that you prefer. These are just name. So we'll implement, in fact, I'll just copy and paste the same thing here. Of course, I'll change all the properties. So instead of retyping everything, of course, the logo is what we have here. We'll change it to this one. Then we put the logo into size. I will just pick some number off my head now. Let's try 210 background size, 210, and then you can measure with the original. So that looks like too big. You can go back to your code and do something like 190. Does that look more? That looks a little bit. So let's reduce it by under 10 and then we'll move on from there just to save time. So let's do 80 and we'll continue setting up other things. So again, the height, it needs to be something very small. It's just a logo. Okay. So it's too small. So let's make it 54, 58. So the width now, the width can be 300. Okay, so you can see that the width is controlling the width of everything, which we are going to control. We are going to fix. But not as if it's controlling the width of everything. Notice that the login area does not have a specific width. That's why it's just being fluid. Any way you push it, it follows you. So we're going to fix that. But first of all, let's fix the logo size. So this is 100. So it should be like 200. So Instagram, yeah, that's okay. 200 is okay. Let's now fix the size of the login, width, which means we need to create a new class and call this login area. Then what we are particular about is the width, and we can start with 400 and see what we have. So 400 looks kind of much. Let's do 300. Let's do a comparison to what we have. So looking at this quickly, let's do a comparison and do some plus and minus. So this one look way to the right, so we need to push this to the left so that we can give this guy more room and increase this one here. So we need to push this one to the left so that we'll have more room to increase this one. So from here it looks like we're gonna do so it looks like this is gonna be like 350 or thereabouts, or 380. Then we're gonna find a way to push this one to the left because it's to the right. It's pushed to the right already. And what will help us with that, we have background positioning, and let me try minus 20px and see what happens. So you saw it move, so it moved a little bit. Let's do minus 40, and we also have it moved. So again, we're not trying to make it so perfect, just so that you can get the idea of what's going on. So we have that set. Let's now start with adjustment of the logo and bringing in the form. Okay, so this logo is on top too high. We need to put it in the center. It needs to sit in the center. So how do we make it sit in the center? Let's go to our CSS, or rather our what's it called, Bootstrap, to see what can help us to place things in center. So we can use the same method we did to put that item in the center, and we don't forget about it. So we can also use, we can use this same method. So I'll just copy the whole of this, the same thing we did, and if we add it here, mind you, it will put this whole thing to the center. You are focused on here. You are focused on here. So what you can do is to put something like this, so that whatever is in the content, now we want to put the logo into the content there. So the logo should be sitting in the middle. So that's what we just did now. I just created a flex on top so that whatever I put inside will sit right in the center. Let's move on. Yeah, we need to put something on the top because it's too close to the top. We can add our M top, let's say 3. We have that. Let's do 5, or let's do 3. Okay, we did 3 before, let's do 4. So moving on, we have our form. Where we have our form, we already have this here, but of course the space is too much. What we need to do is that in the form area, we need to tell it that this part we want to have margin start should be 4, and margin, I think padding it is, well, let's see, margin start 4, padding end 4. Okay, so that's that. So that fixes it, but I think it's too small. Let's compare. Yeah, it's too small. Let's make it 5. So we do 5, 5, 5. The next thing for us is let's add password. Password, and of course you want to have a space in between. So we add a class. We add a class here that says margin bottom. Let's do 2. So 2 looks too small. Let's see compared to what we have. Okay, 2 looks great. Okay, so the next thing is our hover class effects. I want us to implement this space between here. Looks too tight. Instagram and the form looks too tight. So let's look at where the logo is. We can say from the form, give us a space, margin or padding top. Padding top, we can do 5. 5 is too much. Do 4. Okay. I would like to implement that thing I said I like. When you click, the logo goes up Or let's just move ahead. Let's move on. Let's not waste time. But you know how to implement that. So let's do placeholder. Placeholder. And let's implement what we need to implement. So we have phone number, username, or email. Phone number. Username. Username or email. Placeholder is not showing. What's happening? Okay, let's just search it. Placeholder Bootstrap. Okay, we have a spelling error. I think that should fix it. That should fix that. Okay, let's move on. The next thing we have, and you can see that the size is way smaller. It's smaller. So I don't want to go into. In fact, they implemented that thing we wanted to implement. It's implemented. Let's quickly implement it. That's neat. Let's implement it. So quickly, we go to form, and we go to it's floating label. Quickly, let's implement it. Under floating label, we have. I'll just copy the whole of this and put it there. Floating label, we have our m-2. I'll delete things that we don't need. mb2, and let's see what we have quickly. Okay, that looks great. So it's working well. So let's pick in what it says. I'll just leave it like that. Email address. Let's implement password quickly so that we can save time. We're not doing good on time at all. Okay, I remove this, and good, we have that set. Let's move on to the next thing. So of course you can see that their own is not that big. You know, I don't have time to be styling it exactly like that, or we can style it to have that same size as it is. But let me quickly try something, which is the size of the label. Let me see if I can quickly get the size of the label out, if it can be smaller. Inputs. So let me do size. Okay, so the size is not showing here. I can see input background. Let me try this. Form control. Okay, so let's try the sizing if it's working quickly. Okay, so we have it with SM. Let me see if it works or not. Let me try and remove the parents. Okay, it's not working. Let's move on. It's not working as planned. Let's move on. So the next thing are kind of easy to do, but I think you had issues implementing that. That's the login here. Let's quickly add the login button, and that can be added in various forms. Let me just go with the standard method. Okay, we're not adding the floating. Here's the login. I think it should be form control. So let's see what we have on buttons. Bootstrap buttons. Okay, so we're picking the primary one. I'll just pick this, and I would like it to be small. BTN SM. So that fits it. Okay, so now what we want to do is create a space at the bottom of this. So in the floating MB2, and we need to make this one to take the whole of the space. You know, that's what the work of BT block was supposed to do for us, but since it's not doing it, we have to implement this one by ourselves. So how do we do that? We can just go and style this ourselves. So I guess this style is not, maybe it's in an advanced class or something, it's not coming up there. So let's style it ourselves. We say width is equal to 100%, and we're good to go. So I'll just say button full width. So don't let me call it, don't let me use this method. So let me say button full width. Okay, we have that identified. Let's look at the next thing we need to do. Okay, we need to do this all stuff, and then we do this. Time is going. Okay, let me just go ahead and do. Let me go ahead and do this bottom. I will ignore this, right? Just to save time. Add this bottom one. Add this button one, and then we move on. Okay, let's go ahead and see what we have. So if you look at the div properly, or the setup properly, we have this part here that talks about the card. So there's a problem here because we have a card here. It has affected us from providing another card on the bottom. You can provide it, but it will be card in a card. So look at it now. If I do something like this within this same card that I have here, if I now come down and do another card, I will have a kind of card in a card like this, which is not what I want. And if I provide it at the end, I will have a funny looking design. It will go on the right hand side. Do you see? It go, because it can't go on the right hand side again, it goes on the bottom. So I'll show you how to implement this. Okay, so notice that in our, we will remove our card here. That's the solution. We have to remove our card here and put it inside here so that it's isolated on its own, so that we can now put another card to stay by itself. So these are the two things we need to put in a card. This guy, we need to put in a card. So without removing that card, let me just add it here so you see it and you see the effects before we remove the upper card. So there's a card already, but because they are too close packed to each other, you will not notice it. So let me force it for you to see it. So I just added X here. You can see it very well. I just added X here. This is the first card. This is the inner card. And you can see that the first card, the inner card is working well. So I need to delete the outer card. So at the next card on the bottom, we now form this effect we want to put here. Okay, let's go ahead and continue. So we can safely remove this card, but not the login area. We start the login area to do something for us. So the next thing we need to do is to provide the next card on the bottom. Of course, you can put some space here, and we can put that by doing adding bottom, let's say 4. It's gonna give us let me say margin bottom. So I want to create a space here, so it's not coming up. Let me put it under the form area, adding bottom swirl. So it gives us this effect. So let's add the second one, card. So the card is there, but you need to create a space in between. So I can do adding top, let's see 3. Okay, padding is not working, so let's do margin. Not that it's not working, it's adding the wrong stuff. So it's margin we are supposed to use, not padding. So I added it there. You can use 2. So the rest of the information is just this. So to save time, we're not going to go and style that. So this gives you the idea of what it is. We're almost done. We have one more thing to do, which is the important, one of the most important thing we want to work on. And this is the adjustment of what is going on here. So we need to specify a fixed width. You can see that the width is changing. So I need to specify a fixed width for this and when it's going to cut off. So I want it to, let's make it here is the default. Let me provide some fixed width to the setting. So I'll come here and say the login area, the fixed width, yeah, the fixed width is this. It's not even supposed to be increasing. Let me check why it's increasing. Okay, let me implement something. So maybe once that one is implemented, it will not increase again. So what I want to do is, look at this. Immediately it's smaller, the other part goes away. It goes away. So we want to implement that. Once it's smaller, it should take that part away. So we want to implement it here. Once it's getting smaller to a phone, you should take that other side away. So how do you implement that? So I've already mentioned that in one of our classes, and that is, let me just show you on Bootstrap. I want to search it for you. So you say Bootstrap, I will say hide content. So how do you hide content when you are in a specific what's it called now, specific view, like tablets and things like that? So what I want to do is I'll just scroll to the content. If you read this, you understand. I want it to be visible alone on visible only on mobile device, rather on tablet form. That's when it should show the left hand side, or else always remove it. So I'm just going to copy all of this and implement it in the mobile side that you don't want it to show, which is the login, which is the slider area. I'm going to remove all the dots. So this, what it's saying, let me read it out to you so you see it. First of all, display none. Once that is executed, it will go to the next one. Display only on block. Don't display on large screen. But I actually also want it on large screen, so I can remove this safely. So let's test it and see if this works. So you can see that it's already working on when it's not on a mobile, when it's not on a big device. So immediately it comes to a big device. Let me check what's going on with my view. Okay, I thought as much. The view is distorted. So when we have it like this, it will always show, and it's always showing in the middle. So immediately you are going to smaller device like a phone, it goes off, which is the experience that you have on this same platform. So immediately you are going to a mobile device, it goes off. Once you are getting to a very big screen, it retains. Once you go to a smaller device, it goes off. So that's the same effect we've been able to do here. So once it gets to a mobile device, it shows up. Once you're getting smaller, it goes up. So I'm going to explain we are done. So we just want to round up. So this part, use Carousel to implement it. So because of time, we'll not be able to implement everything. The rest things are just styling and CSS. I've done the major heavy lifting of putting everything in shape and using the right classes to implement what we are seeing here. So do you guys have any question? Thank you for staying to the end. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and turn on bell notification in order to be notified when we release new videos. See you in the next one.